Hi everyone, Ginny here at Vincherry, and today we're going to talk all about the candidate portal. Now, when you post jobs onto the Engagement Hub and candidates apply, they can then head over to your website and create their own portals where they can update details, upload CVs, and easily apply for jobs, and it's all Gdpr compliant. So in this quick video, I'm going to show you the key sections that you can set up within your candidate portal. But before that, I'm going to give you a quick tour of how it looks when your candidates log in. So this is what the candidate portal looks like when your candidates log in. So up here at the top, you've got your logo, which you can upload into the Engagement Hub. They'll also see your 3 banner images that you've chosen as well. If we then go down, there's their picture that they can upload into the candidate portal and all of their details. So name, email address, telephone number, and social media details as well. Now, wherever you see the orange pencil, that means that they can just click in and update that information where needed. Scrolling on down then, we've then got what we call the completeness bars. Now, this is just a really visual way of your candidates being able to see what they still need to do within their portal. So we can see here that only 25% of the profile and onboarding has been completed, and it tells us here which exact fields are still empty and need completing. We've also got the document completeness bar as well, which works in the same way. Moving down the page, you'll then see that there's a tab here called My Profile. Now, this is all of your candidates' basic information. So they can upload a CV, and some of this information will parse over from that CV. So we've got things like name, gender, job title. They can add things like industry and email. We've then got other information on here as well. So things like their company name, nationality, and visa information. And further down, we've then got their work experience as well, followed by their education details. And then down at the bottom here is where they can add and remove any skills that your candidates would like to add in here. The next tab is Onboarding Info, and this includes things like back office, which is all to do with their bank details, driver's license, any tax details. We've then got company details here as well, which again, all they need to do is click on the little orange pencil and they can edit those details directly in here. And then we've got tax questions as well. The next tab is job applications. Now, this one is for any applications that they've made through your Engagement Hub. So these will show here and also shows the status. And the final tab on here is job alerts. Now, your candidate can set this up using any keywords that they'd like, and it means that any new jobs that you put onto your system will go directly to your candidate's inbox. Okay, so now we're going to look at how to actually set up your candidate portal. So you can access, view, and edit your candidate portal settings by going to your Engagement Hub setup page. Now, when you click into the candidate portal on the left-hand side here, it will take you through to this page. Now, this main toggle here that says Enable Candidate Portal, this is the main toggle to have your candidate portal turned on or off. Now, this little tick box here says Require new candidate to create login before they can apply for a job. Now, what that means is that if this toggle is on, it means that if your candidate applies for a job, it means that they have to set up their candidate portal account. If you untick this box here, it'll just take them straight through to a job application page. Now we're going to look through each of these settings one by one. So first of all, with data syncing, this basically enables whether you'd like any updates or changes made by a candidate to sync through Vincherry. So the candidate will always be able to update their information in the candidate portal, but you can basically choose with this toggle whether or not you'd like it to sync back to Vincherry or not. Now, as best practice, we'd really recommend that you keep this sync on. It means you're always getting the most up-to-date data and documents that have been updated by the candidates. The next tab along is Onboarding Process. Now, this setting is where you can customize the onboarding and registration process when your candidate registers for a new account on the portal. You can toggle the sections on and off on the right-hand side as to whether you want to show or disable those steps. And you can reorder the steps just simply by clicking and dragging the arrows on the left-hand side. Okay, the next tab we have here is Site Setting. So this is basically where you can enable certain things that the candidate can see when they're in the portal. So the job application list, you can toggle this on and off here, and this basically allows your candidates to see a list of jobs that they've previously applied for. The document completeness, that's that bar that I showed you within the candidate portal, and this is basically the percentage bar to track their progress, and here's where you can toggle that on or off. And the final one in here is whether you'd like to turn on the job search on the candidate portal. So this basically allows your candidates to search for jobs within the Engagement Hub. Okay, so the next section that we're going to look at is profile fields. Now, this section allows you to set certain fields as required, and these required fields are then linked to the completeness progress bar. So it works as a visual cue to remind your candidates to update all of the required fields. Now, the first section here is basic info. So this includes things like preferred name, date of birth, gender, email address, and all you need to do is go through and set whichever fields you like as required. Now, the next section down is other information, so things like company name, passport number, visa information. Again, you just need to go through and set whichever fields you'd like as required. Now, work experience works slightly differently. Now, with this one, you can choose whether you'd like your candidates to provide either no information, so not required, whether they need to provide at least one work experience, or whether they need to input at least one of the fields in the list below. Now, if you select this option, you're going to have to select at least one of these checkboxes as required. Now, it works the same way for education, so you can choose whether or not your candidates need to provide either no information, whether they need to provide at least one education history, or whether they need to input at least one of the fields in the list below, which again, you need to make sure that you set at least one of these boxes as required. Now, for skills, they just need to select the number of skills that you'd like to have them update in their profile. And for compensation and salary, again, you can select this as either not required by candidates, whether you'd like them to provide at least one job type, or whether you'd like your candidates to input at least one of the fields from the list below, again, making sure that at least one of these checkboxes is ticked. So the next section that we're going to look at is onboarding fields, and this is where you can actually choose the compliance information that you'd like to receive from your candidates. Now, to do this, you actually first of all need to go over into Vincere so that you can configure those onboarding fields. Now, you need to go into Settings, Configuration Tools, and into Candidate Onboarding. And here is where you can configure the fields related to each country. Now, if we go back over into the Engagement Hub, you can see down here that you then just need to choose the correct country from the drop-down list. And you'll see that those fields that you've created in Vincere are now accessible here. Now, what you can do is you can set them as required, or if you don't want a field in here, you just need to click and drag it into the left-hand side. Now, just bear in mind that if you set a field as required, it means that the candidate will get a reminder until they update all the fields, and they'll also be able to measure the completeness percentage for onboarding purposes. Now, the next section is nice and easy. This is under Onboarding Files. And all this basically is if you want your candidates to be able to delete the file after uploading, just have this toggle on. If you don't want them to be able to delete it, just toggle off. The final tab that we're going to look at within settings is integration. Now, to speed up the process for your candidates, there's an option to log in and register using LinkedIn. So this will pull over some of the information automatically from their profile. To turn this feature on and off, simply use this checkbox in the integration section. Okay, so moving on to site legals then. So this is the next section that we're going to look at. Now, the first one is terms and conditions. So if you upload a terms and conditions document into this section, then candidates will be asked to accept these T&Cs when they provide their information to you via the Instant Job Board. So you can upload the file here using this button. If you want to enable multiple languages, then just upload the T's and C's in the multiple languages that you'd like to have enabled. And please just note that we can only upload PDF documents. Now, the next tab along is privacy policy, and it works very, very similar to the T's and C's. So you just need to upload a privacy policy document. The candidate will be asked to sign it when they provide their information to you via the Instant Job Boards. Again, if you want that in multiple languages, just upload more than one document in the languages that you'd like to enable. And again, this can only be uploaded in PDF. Within site legals is privacy GDPR. Now, the toggle over here on the right-hand side, basically, if you turn this setting off, it's going to disable the option to withdraw consent and request to be forgotten in the candidate portal. So if you want to be GDPR compliant, then make sure that this toggle is switched on. Now, the final setting that we're going to look at is Widget. Now, the widget is an icon that you can embed into your website that candidates can click on to be directed straight to the candidate portal. So to edit this, you can just click on these icons here. You can choose the text color and you can choose the button color. You can also choose the font style and the font size, and you can even rename what you'd like this to say. Now, all you need to do is then copy this embed code and put it into your website. And that's it, guys. Your candidate portal is now all set up. Of course, if you have any questions, then just head over to our help centre, where there are loads of articles around everything to do with the Engagement Hub.